In this lecture, we will review how to choose your research participants. After a basic research design has been selected for a proposed study, a number of details must be determined before the study is initiated. This involves developing the entire study protocol and decisions related to and controlling and randomizing study subjects. When choosing research subjects, prioritize selecting individuals or groups that directly align with your research question, ensuring they represent the target population accurately, while considering ethical factors like informed consent, privacy, and potential risks, and always adhering to relevant research guidelines and regulations. Now, the following is some terms I think that we all need to be on the same page about. We need to know the difference between a participant and a subject, because a lot of times these two words are used interchangeably. So, in research, a participant is a person who voluntarily takes part in a study, while a subject is a person or thing that is the focus of the study. So more of an explanation would be for a participant. So a participant is a person who actively participates in a study, such as by providing consent, communicating with the researcher, or attending a lab. The term participant is often used in qualitative research. And a subject is a person or thing that is the focus of a study. The term subject is often used in quantitative research. However, some researchers object to using this term for human research because it can imply that the person was not actively involved in the study. I've got a video lecture on the difference between quantitative and qualitative research, but I think I just need to reiterate really quickly for all to understand. So for a participant, that term is used mostly in qualitative research, and qualitative research gathers non-numerical data like text or observations to understand subjective experiences and gain deeper insights into a topic. So again, participant equates that to what? Qualitative research, and that is what? Non-numerical data, okay? But for a subject, subject is a person or thing that is the focus of a study, and that is mostly used in quantitative research. And quantitative research focuses on collecting and analyzing numerical data to test hypotheses and make predictions. So just remember, for subject, remember quantitative. And when you think of quantitative, remember numerical data, dealing with numbers. Okay, let's move on. So according to Bordens and Abbott in 2022, before you can proceed with your study, it must be evaluated for ethical issues. A review board will determine if your research protocol adheres to accepted ethical guidelines. And these are ethical considerations. The first being informed consent. Obtain informed consent from all participants, ensuring they understand the study's purpose, procedures, and potential risks. Confidentiality is the next thing. Protect participant privacy by anonymizing data and keeping information confidential. And last, vulnerable populations. You must take extra precautions when working with vulnerable populations like children or the elderly. Now, these are key points to remember when choosing research subjects. First, relevance to research question. Ensure the subjects directly relate to the questions you are trying to answer in your research. Next, representative sample. Select subjects that accurately reflect the wider population you are studying to avoid bias. And next, inclusion and exclusion criteria. Clearly define the characteristics that qualify someone to be excluded or included in your study. So whether you are surveying people on the street or gathering participants for an experiment, you are selecting a sample from the population of potential participants. If you are using human participants in your research, you must consider these 3 factors: the setting in which your research will take place, whether it's in the field or a laboratory, any special needs of your particular research, for example, needing participants with certain personality or characteristics, and any institutionalized departmental and ethical policies and guidelines governing the use of participants in your research. I found a great article for you on LinkedIn Community, and it is entitled, How Do You Select Participants for Research Projects? And there are 5 steps listed. First, define your research question and objectives. Second, identify your target population and sampling frame. Third, choose your sampling method and size. Fourth, recruit and screen your participants. And fifth, manage and maintain your participants. Now, selecting the right participants for your research subjects is crucial for ensuring the validity, reliability, and relevance of your findings. However, choosing who to include and exclude from your sample can be challenging, especially if you have limited resources, time, or access. So the first step in selecting participants for research projects is to clearly define your research question and objectives, what you are trying to find out and why. How will your research contribute to the existing knowledge or solve a problem? Your research question and objectives will guide you in determining the type and scope of your research project and the criteria and methods for selecting participants. Now, the next step is to identify your target population and sampling frame. Your target population is the group of people or entities that you want to generalize your findings to. And your sampling frame is the list of potential participants that you have access to. For example, if you want to study the attitudes and behaviors of online shoppers, your target population might be all online shoppers in a certain country or region. And your sampling frame might be customers of a specific e-commerce platform or a database of online shoppers. You should try to make your sampling frame as representative of your target population as possible and avoid any sources of bias or error. Okay, the third step is to choose your sampling method and size. Your sampling method is the technique or procedure that you use to select participants from your sampling frame. There are 2 main types of sampling methods: probability and non-probability. Probability sampling methods involve random selection of participants and allow you to estimate the sampling error and the confidence level of your results. Non-probability sampling methods involve non-random selection of participants and are usually based on convenience, availability, or judgment. You would choose the sampling method that best suits your research design, objectives, and resources. Your sample in size is the number of participants that you need to achieve your desired level of precision and power. You should consider the variability, margin of error, confidence level, and effect size of your research when calculating your sample size. Now, the fourth step is to recruit and screen your participants. Recruitment is the process of inviting and persuading potential participants to join your research project. And screening is the process of verifying and filtering the participants based on your eligibility criteria. You should use effective and ethical strategies to recruit and screen your participants, such as providing clear and concise information, obtaining informed consent, offering incentives, and respecting privacy and confidentiality. You should also monitor and document your recruitment and screening process and address any issues or challenges that may arise. Now, the final step is to manage and maintain your participants. Management is the process of organizing and coordinating your participants throughout your research project. And maintaining is the process of retaining and motivating your participants until the very end of your research project. You should use appropriate and reliable tools and platforms to manage and maintain your participants, such as online surveys, interviews, focus groups, or experiments. You should also communicate regularly and respectfully. Here goes that word again, okay? Respectfully. So you have to communicate regularly and respectfully with your participants and provide feedback, support, and recognition. You should also ensure the quality and integrity of your data and handle any dropouts, complaints, or disputes. And you want to do that right away. You don't want to put that on the back burner for a later time. Selecting participants for research project is a complex and important task that requires careful planning, execution, and evaluation. By following these steps and tips, you can improve your chances of selecting the most suitable and reliable participants for your research project and enhance the quality and impact of your research findings. Now, we can't talk about research subjects without touching base on animal research. So, a large number of psychological research uses animal subjects. Animals are preferred to humans in situations in which experimental manipulations are unethical for use with humans. The animal rights movement has evolved to challenge the use of animals in research. There are, however, alternatives to using animals in research. This includes the use of in vitro testing and computer simulation. These alternatives, unfortunately, are not viable for behavioral research, in which the goal is to understand the influences of variables on the behavior of the intact living animals. Again, when choosing research subjects, prioritize selecting individuals or groups that directly align with your research question, ensuring they represent the target population accurately, while considering ethical factors like informed consent, privacy, and potential risks. And always adhering to relevant research guidelines and regulations.